So, as the weekly reminder, I'm going to say that if you look down below in the description on YouTube, it's got all the an index of what is going to happen in this meeting. There's also a link to the big index that I've created. And if you click on that, it's got like 3 years worth of the meetings. And I just updated the index. And so if you go there, it's not got the thumbnail of the YouTube video stuck into there. And I set it so if you click on that image, it takes you right to the YouTube video. But that's just an accumulation of all the for each week. It takes the index that I've created and pins all that together. And there's one other thing. Oh, I put name tags in the thing. So if you want, maybe I'll stick a couple in the meeting index or in the chat section just so you can click on those. And what it will do is you figure out where you want to go in the index and append that to the end of the link. So you just put a pound sign and the 8-digit date. And if you click on that link, then it opens the index and puts you right on that particular meeting. So that's a new feature I added. And I might do something, document this a little harder, but right now I'm confused and I've got too many screens going. So I'll just say that is available. If you look down under that, there's the index. And if you go to our YouTube page on the tractor automation page on YouTube and look under the about there, it's got a link to the index and stuff. So I was trying to get to the point where you've got the YouTube page where it's got all the thumbnails and just the titles below them, and then the index. I was trying to get those so they match a little better. So even the thumbnails show up on both of those now. And that's just something you can play with and see if that makes any sense to anybody. So I think that's all I'm going to say for today. So I'll turn it over to Al.
Just a little bit. I made a post out on Slack, and I was just testing these NRF radios and put at least half the code out here. This is the receiver side. But I was able to get 10 hertz, at least 10 hertz, up to about 900 feet away with 22 bytes of data going back and forth with 2 of these radios, and I had just mounted them. I can turn off sharing so it's bigger, but probably easier to go to this page. So this is the actual NRF unit here, and then a teensy here, a capacitor there. And I tested it with 2 different settings. One with low power is more just a test, because if I got into a noisy environment, what might that look like? And it was 342 feet, which certainly for my use, that's probably going to be adequate. But then I set it at high power and tested the distance, and in what probably, radio communication wise is a noisy environment, because this is at 2.4 gigahertz, I think. And a subdivision is probably a reasonably noisy environment, but I got 900 feet, and these LEDs in the program were set to blink different colors based on did it have connectivity or the speed at which acknowledgements were coming back. So that's just a little bit of the test that I did.
Have you tried that with your house in between? So say you go out in the street and put your other one in your backyard, so your house is in between. Have you checked to see how that affects the radio?
Yeah, not on purpose. I will say that I had half of it in my basement, and I was able to get a signal out on the street. But yeah, I think it doesn't take much to interfere with these. It's not definitely as long distance designed as LoRa was, but again, it was about the hertz. So I did sort of inadvertently test it. I didn't have a purpose test to see just how much occlusion could occur before it lost signal. This is what the data structure looked like. And so I just put I was going for 30 or 22 bytes. I think it will technically go up to 30 bytes. And I just tested that, and the acknowledgement coming back was just pure a counter and dummy data. So this was the data that was coming back or being sent for the acknowledgement. Nothing really special about the program. I had some debugging in this because I was trying to get initialize to work, and I think that was more of a wiring problem than a software problem, but this is what the power settings look like. There is actually a max setting. I didn't test that because on high it was certainly fine for my consideration. And if you do run into a situation where you've got a noisy area, that does give you the ability to change the channels. So I went up there. It also has the ability to have a mnemonic in there for the sender and the receiver, and so I just put that in there so that I think between all of that, it sort of zeroes in on what is the actual message that it's supposed to be getting. So
Do you
ultimately,
have one of those little SDR radios that you plug into your laptop and it shows you all the big wide range communication? So you can look at that and see if there's little spikes of other people talking in your neighborhood.
I don't. That would be fun to get as a former ham radio operator. I never, I don't have one of those.
And it could be that since you are in the 2.4 gigahertz range, that, all the Wi-Fi in the neighborhood, you're going to get, just huge amounts of stuff talking. I don't know if your radio is in the middle of the Wi-Fi stuff or if it's to one side or the other. So I've never looked into that. I'm just curious
Yeah, I purposely,
if you had one of those, you could just take a quick look at it.
I didn't, but I chose 124 because I think this is at the high end of the range, the frequency bands. I forget the actual nomenclature. It's like two megahertz per channel or something. But it worked. So I claimed it was cold. And oh, the other thing, it was probably worth noting is I got 900 feet, and this, as you can tell, is inside a car. So it's got to go through that glass, which is going to provide some blocking factor. And the other one was in a car too. So it got 900 feet through two panes of glass. So again, I'd have been happy with 342 feet of getting 10 hertz, but it's definitely within spec for my sort of, I want to be able to see it situation. And other than that, I've also been messing around with a Raspberry Pi 5. I've rebuilt the darn thing 3 or 4 times. I've stripped off this NVMe hat, thinking it was causing a problem. I had a NVMe drive connected to this USB deal, and I don't know what's causing the failure, but I did sort of get down to, if I execute that command, I can bring the drive back to life. So it is, something's not closing right, or anyway, I've just been continuing to fight with my Raspberry Pi, and I'm trying to get down to, at the moment, I have a Raspberry Pi with just the operating system is on the SD card on the Pi. And yeah, trying to debug what's causing the failure. Is it Ubuntu that doesn't like running on the Raspberry Pi? Is it one of these other drives that's cheap and causing a problem, or just what is sort of causing the problem? But I've now rebuilt the thing 4 times, and I wish I didn't have to do that. So I'm going to be pretty darn hesitant about putting critical data on this thing for a while until it sort of gets more stable. I did get my UPS, and so stable power is not my problem anymore. That's it for me today.
Yeah, after you said you bought that UPS, I was looking at those on Amazon, and I saw that exact one you ordered, and there's some others out there. And I was looking at the features on them, and I like the one I have right now. It's an APC, and it's at the point where it's got an actual switch on the front. If it's not plugged in the wall, I can flip the switch to on. It will power up and provide power. Some of them won't do that. And
Mhm.
another thing that people are complaining about is that when the power goes off, the thing starts beeping. And some of them don't give you the option to turn that beeper off. So you have to sit and listen to it the entire time. And this one will just has a button that says silence or something on it, and that will shut it up and it'll continue to run. And I don't know, what other features this has, but when I was just casually looking at those, I thought, well, I don't want to get one that won't do it. I certainly don't want one that won't let me power it up if it's not plugged in the wall. I absolutely have to have that feature. And the beeping would be annoying because right now I'm sitting about a foot away from it. So if it starts beeping, that's going to be annoying trying to, yeah, I could sit here and run my computer, but I also don't want to listen to it. So I didn't getting those. I was looking at lead acid batteries and couldn't decide if I wanted to spring for batteries on sale and replace. I was thinking about taking the 12-volt battery out of this, which is a big 38 amp hour battery. That could pull it out and put two like smaller like 18 amp hour batteries in the same spot, but they're about half an inch too wide if I do that. So I'd have to rebuild the frame in order to do that. So I didn't order any of those. And then also my UPS sitting here, it's got an external battery that's really old. That's probably going to go dead anytime. So I was thinking about replacing that one, and I couldn't decide on that either. So I didn't ended up not ordering any batteries. And the
Mm.
only thing I ordered was I got a couple of 1 terabyte solid state drives to put in my Linux computers. And the computer I'm using right now has a 1 terabyte drive, but it's the mechanical drive. And it takes like 2 minutes to boot the thing up. You turn it on, it just sits there forever. And I don't know if that's going to solve that problem or not. So hopefully that'll make the whole thing faster. And that's just one of those things I need to go down that path and see what. One of these days when I'm bored, I'll try that.
I think you'll see a noticeable change in your boot speed if you, irrespective of whether it's like version 2 or 3 or 4 on the PCIe um, port. It'll be
You know, my
faster.
other computer that I is my mainline computer. It's got a solid state drive, and that I turn it on in about 30 seconds, it pops up and it's ready to go. It's just that this computer is just so incredibly slow, and I'm not sure why that is. So just more things that baffle me, because they both have the same version of Linux on, I think, and they just seem to act differently, and depending on how much RAM it's taking and the fact that the hard drive seems to be slow. I got all these weird problems that maybe it's my imagination or not. I don't know.
I'm all set.
Okay, I guess I am too.